Doo-doo-doo-doo. Welcome back to this episode of Quantum Perspectives. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the struggles of an introvert and how do we survive in groups where we might not fit in, or where do we get the confidence to just be off by ourselves and not feel the need to fit in because we know where we feel at peace and what groups perhaps are not well suited for us. So let's get right into it. Have you ever, Yori, felt the
Oh,
need
should we
to?
introduce ourselves first?
Oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot. Got too excited there. Sorry. So, back with me, you're one of your co hosts, Jason, and my other co host.
Iori?
Okay. So, back to my question. Thank you for the
Yes,
reminder, by the way.
no worries.
You would think by the fifth episode, I'd have this down.
Uh-huh.
Even monkeys fall off trees, you know? Even the best
Yeah.
of the best forget. But have you ever run into a situation where, or have you, since we both come from an international school and foreign country background, felt the need to adjust to a group so that we won't be by ourselves?
So actually, I think there were not just one, even like multiple situations like that. But I was always the type to sort of stay as my true self, not really trying too much to adapt. So, of course, if I had something in common with that group or person, I might talk about that specific thing with that person. But, that's just one part of me, right? It's not like faking. What about you?
Well, I guess the reason why I made this a topic was because I've experienced it and I still do sometimes, specifically because at least in my circle of friends, both at school or during school and at church now, because I'm mostly the only place I go outside to and socialize is at church now because I don't have school anymore, and I'm not the best social being as a homebody and introvert. I really enjoy my safe space at home,
I see.
so I don't really hang out with people outside, even stay in contact with people from school or university time either, where I say, hey,
Uh-huh.
it's been a long time. Do you want to grab lunch or something like that? Of course, there are times where I do want to do that, but for the most part, I'm mostly just YouTubing at home, practicing my art skills, and trying to learn new techniques as well, or sleeping because it's winter right now, so it's hibernating season for some of us
I see.
who are enjoying the fruits of our labor of not having classes anymore and graduating. We
Yay.
have that choice.
Yay.
But to get back on topic, I still do feel that way. Um, at least not recently, but last year when I was back from my trip during summer, I came back and there were a lot of new people that came to my church for school, and I just couldn't find myself to fit in. Not even the new people, but even with people that I've known for the past now 7 years since I've moved to this church. I couldn't really find where I fitted in or which group I would fit into
Uh-huh.
because they were all so different. And there wasn't really anybody, at least among the people that I know or youths, that shared my kind of thinking or my kind of hobby.
I see.
So it was a bit hard for me to really feel I feel safe to sit here and talk or just open up about how I really felt inside. So most time, almost often than not, I would find myself when faced with the question, "So how was your week?" I'd just say, it was good. Was it any interesting stories? No, it's, it's just normal school, work, at the time at least. Work, didn't really
I
do
see.
much this week. It's a very generic answer. And I couldn't really find somebody who would want to discuss things like this, for example. What do
I
you think
see.
it's like being an introvert? What do you think the struggles are? Why do some people not want to join, let's say, one of our Zoom events when there's a lot of people to open up about their struggles? I wonder what stops people from opening up about how they really feel. So it's these kind of questions that I don't know who to ask, who to talk with.
I see.
No, I did not give them a chance either. So fair game. I did not. It was my fault for not trying.
Uh-huh.
But for the most part, I just melded or became a chameleon and just adapted to the groups. But
I
recently,
see.
I started just being myself, whatever that really means. I just wanted to, yes, I add a little what I call MSG or extra spice to the character. So it's overdone a little bit. I get too hyped up, too energetic, but it's for the sake of livening up or bringing the tension to high tension.
Uh-huh.
So I'm having a lot of fun just being myself. Yes, I might be seen as not acting my age because I'm too energetic or I'm too playful,
I
but
see.
at what cost, right? I just want to have fun. I just want people to really get to know me.
Uh-huh.
Those not everyone will get to know me. Not everybody will want to get to know me.
Uh-huh.
But instead of I've given up on being mysterious,
I see.
or I've also given up on trying to come off as, oh, he's quite mature. But I don't want to say I'm immature, but at the very least, I have more than one side, as you said earlier. There's more to me than what I present. Of course, ideally, I want to present, oh, he has quite a bit of experience in making collective judgments, or he has quite, just fill in the blanks. Like, oh, that's so quite positive. Showing only the best sides of myself.
I see.
And of course, to potential partners, I of course want to show that good side, but
Uh-huh.
I realized that I was being quite cold to a lot of people. Cold, like very far or distant. And to some people that are trying to open up and get closer, I've just been, eh, I'm just quite normal. I'm not reciprocating their um, efforts. So I'm
I
trying to
see.
change in that way because I was under the impression that I should not be too expressive of how I feel inside and maybe just play it off cool, like that kind of character in dramas and in animes that you just stay collected, but inside you're like, wow. But recently, that side of me is just slipping out more, and so people really know that I'm not acting
I see.
because I want people to know that I I'm gonna be authentic with you, and I hope you feel the same way. Because
Uh-huh.
I don't want people to assume that I have other intentions, because I overthink already. I already assume a lot already.
Uh-huh.
So I don't want people to feel the same way. But I was also told through various people and various media that if you give everything, if you tell
Uh-huh.
people everything about you and leave no mysteries, then people might just leave after that because they're not curious about you anymore.
But then at the same time, you're constantly changing, evolving. Don't you think so?
Yeah, but I think it's under this um, assumption that if you leave something to be curious for, people will kind of chase after you in that sense. Like they'll continue to want to get to know you.
I
But then
see.
if I tell you the story of my life, then after that you might be satisfied and just go.
But then
That's just a thought. That's just a thought.
I
I'm not
see.
saying what's right or wrong.
I see.
But moving on to, so you didn't have that kind of experience?
So it's more like those situation never really bothered me.
I see. I see. Okay. So then moving
So
on, where did you find your confidence? Because you're an introvert too, if I'm not wrong.
I am introvert and I don't see myself as the most confident type of person.
You don't
Though,
come off that way though.
well, really?
I don't know, maybe because we're one to one, so it's a bit different.
But I feel like in terms of confidence or self-esteem, I've reached a rock bottom at one point in my life. So I couldn't get any worse than that. So it kind of goes back to our earlier episode, but in my earlier years of university, um, of course, things get harder and you need to put more effort into your studies, right? And things will not always go your way. And I could have just persisted, but I lost too much confidence to the point where I started to doubt everything from my way of thinking, the choice I make, or the way I communicate, everything. And and from there, it just, started this like bad loop of self-doubt. And, that leads to even lower self-confidence level and just keeps going. But, when you reach rock bottom, you're like, fine, this is me. I'll just accept myself as I am. And also, I was already sort of more honest person. Maybe I became more honest and open about it. So even sharing how I feel and stuff, because I feel like you keeping a bright personality for other people is in a way to protect yourself, but other side of it is that you don't want them to feel the heaviness you have.
Right, right,
At,
right,
le-
right,
at, at least that's how I see. So that's coming from your kindness, right?
right,
But
right.
if you really need to share something and sort of feel lighter, and that's sort of like being nice to yourself now. Um, yeah. So you just realize that there's that option as well, and you might just start with someone you feel comfortable enough at the time. I don't know how to wrap this up, but
It's okay. It's
I
okay. It's
went
okay.
everywhere with my ideas.
It's okay. It's okay. But then my question is, where did your confidence come from to be by your just to be continue to be yourself no matter what other people might think? For those of us who still feel that we're missing our voice in all of this, in the
Right.
war against our own voices in our head. Would you like me to answer first? Or
Uh, sure.
okay, I'll let me give you some time to think. So in my case, I got a lot of help from others
Uh-huh.
in finding it. I have a lot of junk, I guess, inside, like emotional and mental junk that really don't have any significance, but I'm sentimental, so I have to keep it. Like, oh, but this memory is one of the few memories that shaped me, or something like that. But I have met a lot of people that have been telling me, yeah, that person, I can go to this person for something else, but they're not you. And that really
Uh-huh.
started to really feed into, oh, I'm different in a good way, apparently. And so I got a lot of help from others that, uh, and eventually I made that my own confidence. People who
Uh-huh.
told me, I go to you because you're you, not really because of what you can do.
Uh-huh.
It gave me confidence, and I started believing it. A part of the experience as well, experiment as well, quantum zen, where I just keep repeating like it's fact that people like me, and I'm starting to like me too because of
Uh-huh.
A, B, and C. And if people don't like me, then that's okay because they don't know my story, but I do, and I know how much I've gone through, and no, nothing people say can take away the value of that, or the fact that that has happened, and all these scars are a medal of honor because I've made it. Did that give you enough time to think about your answer?
I think so. So I'd say the main reason why you lose confidence is that you have some kind of expectation or standard on yourself. Like, this is how I should be, but maybe getting rid of that and just accept again.
But let's say, for example, as myself, who likes to really cater to other people first,
Uh-huh.
how can we throw that away when we feel that's what makes up our whole being or our whole purpose? That's what makes us happy, serving others
Right.
and catering to others, because maybe we have a past of not being included, so now we want to make sure everybody's included, even
Uh-huh.
if it costs us a little bit of our own happiness. It's for the greater good.
Uh-huh.
Do you know somebody like this? Except me?
In terms of,
Like, do you have friends that are very, whatever you like, I like? Or it doesn't really matter. Like, because I know people that when I ask them, like, what do you like? What do you want to eat? Then they'll say, oh, anything you want, I'll just follow. Or how do you feel? You know what? As long as you're happy, I'm happy too. Do you know somebody like that except me?
maybe not.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure, but I feel like a, a lot of my friends have bits of those piece into it. So
Hmm.
just like the specific example you gave me, some of them are just down to wherever I say for like eating out, or
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure about the part where I'm happy as long as you're happy part, because I don't think anyone told me in that specific phrasing, but you just sense that from their attitude.
That's what I tell some people. And it's also a way for me to. Have you heard the saying, your true friends are the ones that will celebrate your victories even when they're in their losses. So it's, even if I'm going through something and I'm at my lowest, I'm
Uh-huh.
trying to teach myself to be able to not be salty or bitter when other people are having their winning season and I'm in my growing season.
I see. I think I
But
also think like that though.
I'm trying to teach myself to be genuinely happy for other people, no matter what I'm going through. And
Uh-huh.
it's easier said than done, to be honest. Because some days you just don't feel like celebrating other people. Because
Uh-huh.
I'm going through so much, and this person is, let's say, let's take you and me for example. I I'm also trying my best, but how come Yori gets to go on residency or work with like collaboration with like other artists? What about me? I'm also
Uh-huh.
trying. How come other people don't see that too? I'm working just as
I
hard, if
see.
not harder than she is.
And
But
I
then when
don't
you
see
tell me about your
myself as
residency,
working hard.
yeah, but then when you told me you got a residency, which we clarified that I misunderstood what that meant off air, I was so
Uh-huh.
happy for you. But at the same time, I thought, how come I don't get to do something like that? That sounds really cool.
But then I'd say do it from now. Maybe that's not what
But I
you're
haven't,
asking, but
yeah, I have enough confidence to say that's not what I want.
yeah, then that's fine, right?
Yeah, but
So,
mhm.
to add my point, just make yourself happy first. Just forget about your mindset of I'm happy as long as you're happy part. First, make yourself happy because I feel like happy person they're the ones willing to celebrate other people.
But some
Uh,
of the happiest people are the ones that are so sad in private.
then again, where do you measure that person's happiness, right?
Yeah, that's quite subjective, I'd say.
Uh-huh.
But going back to confidence, then, I mean, I've just recently revisited the question of, am I confident enough to be myself in front of everyone to an extent? Because, not again, I think, as I said in a few episodes already, not everybody really can, not to be arrogant, appreciate
Uh-huh.
all of me with my dad jokes or dry jokes, or as your resident friend calls, cold jokes,
Uh-huh.
because it just makes you like, gives you goosebumps because it's not even funny.
Uh-huh.
Like the story, I think the meaning is, do you know where like somebody says something in like anime or drama and all you hear is wind, like,
Uh-huh.
no, it's that kind of, that's what's called a cold joke.
I see.
And not a lot of people can appreciate it. I've only met one person that can really reciprocate that energy,
Uh-huh.
and I really appreciate this person. Not because they can accept my jokes, just them in general. But this is a bit branching off, but just to throw a little bit of my own voice in this set of questions. I'm introverted and an overthinker. How do I know if this group can even like me and accept me for who I am? Or maybe they're just being formal and polite and saying, oh, yeah, we accept you as however you choose to be. Is it still better to trust that, or should I just still stay off by myself? What
I'd
do you
say
think?
just I'd say just try interacting with them. And even if you have doubts, you stay there and you might find out that your maybe your doubt turn into reality, that maybe you might find out that they might not appreciate you, but I think there's a fair chance that they do appreciate you. So I'd say just try.
That
Is
was
it where the
very
confidence
moving.
comes in?
No.
I don't know.
I think it's a lot more trust at that. Well, if I had to answer my own question,
Oh,
the confidence part of it is knowing that no matter what they say, it doesn't devalue who you are.
yeah.
What I mean by that, how should I put it in more simple terms? whether somebody can accept, let's take myself, whether somebody can accept my flaws or my quirky like interest in jokes or puns or sarcasm, it doesn't take away that somebody out there, or I guess one person, you might not like me, but another person does.
Uh-huh.
So it doesn't really devalue or make me say, well, I'm such a, like, not, nobody seems to like me. But recently I've been shifting it to, oh, I guess I just don't really match frequencies with this person.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more to that direction, I'd say. That's where, for me, the confidence kicks in or plays a part. Because on days where I'm not so confident, I think, or
Well,
another failed relationship or friendship or any ship that can ship, situationship. Not really, I didn't ever get that far. I just want to be friends with people.
same.
But have you had any experiences where you just had to pull some extra confidence to socialize?
Well, of course, as an introvert, every time I try to make myself known in new environment, it's it requires a lot of confidence. But the older I get, the less effort I require, or should I say, I'm getting used to it. I see it as an adventure too. So, like, okay, I'm an introvert, but it's like challenge accepted. It's sort of like uh, I gamified it to make it more fun,
Okay.
introducing myself, and sometimes still fear might win, but that's how you get used to it, I guess. So even if it doesn't work well, just don't see it as a failure. Just another data, another sample, another experiment.
Well, let me ask a question, just referencing or going back to our last episode in our journey as an art student and now as emerging artists and creatives. What about critiques? Did you ever? I mean, when I was in class with you in third year specifically, you seem to be
Uh
quite
huh.
confident in vocalizing what you think. But for me, it was a bit more nerve wracking, or it made me really anxious to open my mouth and make comments because I'm afraid that my answer was very template, where, oh, I like this work. I like the texture or whatever, very basic comment. And I wasn't really adding value, adding that I'm quite introverted more before than now. Where did you gain the confidence to just make comments about people's works?
Okay, this is very interesting because first of all, although you said you saw me as a confident person during the critique, a lot of professors said I'm very quiet. So again, it's really different on the expectations they have. Or, but anyways, I've actually talked about this with that video professor sort of recently,
Yes.
and
Yes.
she said that she clearly sees now that I became more confident during the critique, partially because I've graduated, but um,
Did you go to critique recently?
I I was
You got
invited as
invited?
a guest critique.
Oh, I'm
So
jealous.
okay, let's
I got
stop.
invited
Uh,
for post undergrad life as an artist. Not to compare, but I didn't go in
then that's
person.
good. That's good.
I
See,
got
it's
asked.
not
This is,
about comparison.
I know. I got asked this question that
Um,
I now would change if I got asked again. They asked me, "Is there a point in focusing your portfolio,
uh-huh.
or do you believe in diversifying your work?" Now, when I think about it, I said at the time, I got my job because I diversified my portfolio as a
Uh-huh.
um, jack of all trades, master of none, but
Uh-huh.
still better than a master of one, the saying.
Uh-huh.
But now I would think I would specify what I do just to focus it. Because when I applied for my job at the time, I applied with portraits, architecture, like photos,
Uh-huh.
and other works and
Uh-huh.
event documentation. Versus if I do it now, I all of it would be very portrait based.
I see.
And the question of did you find what you studied in this video class to be helpful?
Uh-huh.
I said yes, but as your professor had mentioned, 72 hours is very limited experience compared to other programs.
Uh-huh.
So you have to do your own homework outside and be your own motivator,
Uh-huh.
or else you're going to fall behind once you get to the real world. So I had that kind of presentation. It was really nice,
I see.
but I don't know where the confidence to say all that came from, to be honest.
Maybe just stop giving expectations, or again, like comparing with someone could be normal, but again, it's one type of expectation. Like you have to be here. Like you said, you might think, oh, I have to be doing this, but then again, you're confident enough to say, but that's not what exactly I want, right? And I think
It,
that's totally fine.
now I can say that because I've taken the proper time to really process what do I like doing, what is my motivation, and what's stopping me.
I see.
Or to redirect it back to the circle of friends or groups question or situation, how do I feel, or how do they make me feel when I'm in that group, and what's stopping me from wanting to continue to be part of that group? Is it maybe the way that I don't get included in the conversations, so
Uh-huh.
I'm just there as a decoration? Is it the way that maybe when I do get included in the conversations, I get really tired because I have to be very high tension and energetic?
Uh-huh.
Or is it because I don't feel well today, so I'm just gonna be on power saving mode and be off by myself?
I see.
Like, I know it sounds very selfish to say it, but for me, it's really asking, well, what do you want? Because I have a friend that keeps asking me this question: is that really what you want? If that's really what you want, then go for it. But if you're doing it out of someone else's sake, then I don't think that's something that you should continue to do, because you're giving up a piece of yourself for someone that may not reciprocate or appreciate your efforts.
I see.
I know we talk about all this self-love and putting yourself first, and I'm still having a hard time with that because I'm so used to uh, catering to others.
Uh-huh.
Maybe because I'm in a what's it called, service provider industry. So,
I see.
but now I'm a bit more confident, and also because I'm around the right people that can really accept me as I am and as I continue to change. That's where my confidence was helped. I had a bunch of people really help to push down a broken down car and then get it running. That's an analogy.
I see. Also, I just realized something. You tend to
Yes.
use a lot of analogy or sayings,
Yes. Yes.
and I'm not saying it's good or bad, but maybe it's one kind of tendency you have to frame the situation you're in or frame the experience you're having.
Your point being,
I don't do that. I don't put myself in a frame. Well, at least not as much as you do.
uh,
And I feel like partially it's fun because you're sort of spicing up your life in a way.
Yeah, spicing up my life, she says.
Yeah, like
What?
making it more suitable for storytelling.
Uh I don't know. Maybe it's one of those. I grew up around adults, so I grew up around by my parents' friends from a young age, and my parents do speak in analogies or very visual representations. Like, let me just share a few, or maybe I can. This will be a. I'll just share like one because we're gonna. I think we're gonna have an episode on sayings and other things that affected you and shaped you to who you became. But we have this one saying that we say in English, I think as well. The taller the tree, the stronger the winds are. Because if you think of like a coconut tree or a pine tree, they move a lot at the top, but the
Right,
bottom is stable.
right.
So they're saying the higher you go, the harder things might become. So let's take like idol culture because we love talking about idols.
Yes,
When you become
yes.
famous, you get netizens, haters. You become famous, people comment and they dislike a lot of things. But when we're still, not to be offensive, when we're still down at our level
Uh-huh.
that nobody really knows about us,
Uh-huh.
nobody bothers us.
Right.
So it's things like that. The taller the tree, the stronger the winds are.
I
And
see.
there's another one that I like that I'm gonna try and translate. The how should I don't know how to translate it. This is gonna sound off, so please, for those of you who know the original saying in Indonesian, please forgive me. That it is the empty drums that ring the crispiest, kind of. They have the nicest sound because it's empty. When you hit an empty drum,
Ah, I see.
it means people that don't know anything
Uh-huh.
speak the loudest.
I see. So
I
that's your
hope I'm not
favorite?
that. No, it's just one of the few that I start to realize it's trying. I'm trying to humble myself with it. That if you don't know like what's going on or how people feel, then I don't think you should be so loud about it. Saying, let's say we have a misunderstanding.
Uh-huh.
Let's say going back to our friendship episode where you're late.
Uh-huh.
I don't mean to use this as an example because it's so sensitive, but let's say some like one of your like your parents had to go to medical checkup or something, but I didn't know and you didn't tell me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Oh, our
overreacting.
situation, sort of.
Yeah, where I'm saying I didn't. How come you didn't tell me? Or
Uh-huh.
sorry, how come you're late? Like, do you have no respect for me? Even came early because you said I should come at this time, but you come an hour late. I can't believe like I should have known you. I should have known you would have done this. I didn't know anything, but I'm just gonna keep talking I'm just gonna keep yelling off the top of my lungs, just throwing every disrespect I have because I'm upset.
Uh-huh.
But once you tell me and it's like, oh, oh no. Like no longer am I gonna speak confidently as if I knew what was going on.
I see. But at the same time, if I'm late, I think you have right to say that still.
But I should not have the right to. Maybe I'll go to the point of saying, like, is this how your parents raised you? Like that kind of
That's
disrespect,
I
right? That's
see, I
crossing the
see.
line.
I see.
Like, wow, I bet your parents are like this too. Like, I don't think that's nice to say. I wouldn't say that, but just think
Uh,
of it that way.
That's one of the things I hate the most when people say. Like, I'm totally fine with people judging just me,
Yeah.
but like, why do you talk badly about my parents, although you don't know them? Like, they're really
Be-
great.
I know, but I think the general thought process is the child tends to be a watered down version of the parents. I don't know if you've heard that phrase before.
I think I'm familiar with that kind of expression.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So is that it's branched off from that kind of mindset or that saying. But yeah, it's the emptiest drums that ring the best.
I see. Wow. But then, so I've had similar experience where, like I was, because of what I did, um, they commented badly on my parents.
Oh,
And I felt so sorry for them. So I think I told my mom about it, but her love was bigger than that. Like, you don't need to care about like people speaking badly on us because we're proud of you, type of thing. And I'm like, okay, maybe, I'll still try to behave as properly as possible, but at the same time, my parents respect me enough to do what I want or, stand up for myself. So again, it really depends on what kind of parents you have, probably. Some of them
oh,
might say, you have to always make us proud, but, you know, really caring parents or any parents probably at the core care about their children enough to be able to say that. I don't know. I don't know if this applies to everyone, but
yeah, yeah. Again, this is for us. We're only speaking about ourselves.
yeah.
I'm more on the side of I'm reminded that I carry the family name.
Uh-huh.
So like wherever you go, you bring like your whole family
Uh-huh.
with you. So I've been raised in a way that I must be conscious of not embarrassing or bringing shame to my. Have you watched Mulan before? The
Yes.
Disney,
Yes.
like do not dishonor your family.
Uh-huh.
That's the kind of background that I come from,
I sold.
and I don't. I'm not gonna say this to everyone. So at least I'm gonna speak for myself. That I take pride in making people know
Uh-huh.
that I am the way I am. If they praise me, let's say, it's
Uh-huh.
because of how my parents raised me.
Uh-huh.
So I want people to have a good view of it. So I don't want to bring dishonor to my family, as
Uh-huh.
Mulan's dad said. I don't want to bring dishonor. I want people to see that they did a great job,
Uh-huh.
and I don't want them to be embarrassed of me
Uh-huh.
either. And I might take your side in saying maybe they're not so concerned about how people view them,
Uh,
but at least I want to assume in some Indonesian community, it's if I look if I do something bad, then it looks bad on them
right.
because the parents, sorry, the parents, so the child, because the child is the so-called product of the parents, byproduct. So if the child is bad, that means the parents must be just like that.
I see.
Ag- Again, I don't speak for everybody. I can only speak for what I know and what I've experienced.
And I'm definitely sure that it to some extent it exists in all Asian cultures.
Okay, okay.
I from what I know. Does it come from respect for elder people?
I'd say, but I don't know. I don't know if you've been told, but I've been told carry yourself that in a way that it doesn't disrespect your family or your parents, I guess, or family
I see.
if you have siblings. Or if you're, I imagine it'd be harder or even more of a big deal if you come from a like maybe a famous family. I'd say
Purple.
maybe what you come from. Maybe you come from a gold family or some kind of big business. Like I don't want to. What should I name it? Like maybe if you're like the son of the owner of YouTube or something like that,
I see.
or like celebrity childs. I imagine they might have more pressure. Like I watched this YouTube video of the son of one of the child of Indonesia's president, and the interviewer asked, "What's it like being this president's son?" And he just answered, "I'm just like anybody else. Like he's just my dad. I get that he's a president, but to me, he's just my dad." I'm like, oh, okay.
I see.
Because for us, it's like, oh, Mr. President, and then to him, it's like, that's my dad. But he carries himself in a way that he doesn't dishonor or makes an embarrassment of his uh, parents, especially because his parents are, I guess, what's it called politicians, president, and the first lady. Is that what they call it? The wife of the president.
I see.
I, it's again different, very, very different situation from us that are quite literally everyday people, not
Right.
really in the media spotlight in any way. I take confidence as well in the lessons that I've been taught growing up and the values that I've been given. I have full confidence that, for context, my um, ability or lack of ability to trust people did come from that too, because
I
you
see.
never know what intentions people have for you. Sometimes it might be bad, sometimes it might be good. The tool itself is not the problem, it's the user. Like this phrase that I was told in media studies, technology did not ruin people. People using technology ruin people. For example, take the watch, for example, or the clock. The purpose is good, but the way we use it, that's what's ruining us because we're looking at the clock and thinking, "Oh, I have to hurry, I have to hurry, I have to hurry."
Right.
It's your it's your fault for not doing things earlier. It's not the clock that's ruining your life. It's your procrastination that's
That's
holding
true.
you back. Because there's this common saying of, "What is your opinion on technology?" Technology ruined people's lives. Look at social media. Social media didn't do anything bad. It's how you use social media that made it a negative impact. That's
Right.
just my opinion as a media studies academic.
But then, at the same time, a lot of smart people with like evidence in neuroscience, psychology, they try their best for people to engage. So, but I
Yeah.
understand where you're coming from because you also have right to totally ignore or not even use social media, right?
Yes, but if you don't, then this is a good segue back or bridging back to the main topic. If you don't use social media, you're going to be even more out of the loop.
True.
And then you're going to be, I don't know if might be related or might be branched off, but when did you first receive your first phone?
When was it for you?
I think I was 12, 10 or
Oh,
12. Or was it 9? I got mine pretty late. No, I think I got mine at like 12.
I see. For
But
me,
the people around me already got their
oh,
phones, so I felt so left out. But
oh,
in our school, it was banned to bring your phone to school.
I see.
I brought it secretly, and I was so bad at lying. I brought it home and I charged it straight away. And my mom was like, "Why are you charging it?" It's like, "Oh, I don't know. It just the battery seemed to go down over a day." You tell that to an adult. What do you mean the battery went down over a day? It stayed at home. And you know what I
Oh,
did? I changed the wallpaper to my friend at school. Of course, then.
oh,
Why would you? Ah, it just sounded so dumb when I think about it now. Of course, she could know you brought it to school. Your wallpaper is your friend at school, taken
interesting.
in the camera folder. If I had a smartphone, it'd be a different story. My friend sent me that. This is
Um,
SMS days. There's no way you can send an MMS. A 12-year-old trying to argue and convince a full grown adult.
so your parents were strict because you couldn't open up about it right away.
Or no, I couldn't even bring toys to school because I would lose it. You know, you never know, right? Especially a phone. Think of it, a 12-year-old bringing by at the time maybe like an $800 phone or something like maybe 300, 500. Phones weren't that crazy back then.
Uh-huh.
Now it's I could buy a camera for a phone.
So speaking of phone,
Yeah.
um, I got my first phone when I was still in kindergarten. I don't remember
Like a
exactly.
toy phone?
No, 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 a real one.
Who are you calling in kindergarten?
Grandma.
Like, sorry, like you would just carry it around your neck or something?
So, because my kindergarten was really chill, it was more like an international kindergarten. So
Mm-hmm.
it was relaxing, and of course, no one was carrying phone. But I got it because maybe I asked my parents, and they just gave me. Okay, I was being spoiled, but yeah, obviously I didn't have many people to communicate with,
Mm.
and people who have most time will be elders.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always um calling or even sending emails to my grandma.
Yeah. I have a
But
quick question.
mhm,
Is email this different from text in Japan? Do you not have text?
we do have text, but um, like we call it short messages or something back then.
Because when I watch like dramas or like um anime, they
Uh huh.
always say like, "Can I have your email address?" Like what's it called? Mail 교환? Like exchange emails
Ah,
or mails.
well, that's probably because I don't know how carriers overseas work, but
Oh,
we have like email address attached to that carrier. So maybe the common one will be Docomo. You've probably seen.
yes, of course, Docomo.
We have an email address that ends with at docomo.ne.jp. I mean,
Oh,
back then, I don't
yeah,
use
yeah.
that anymore, but so that's why not many people use text. And also, texting costed. I think emails were free.
Oh, back then when I first like in Canada when I first got my phone, I got a data plan with like unlimited call, unlimited oh not unlimited data, sorry, unlimited call and like 100 texts or something per day,
Hello.
and then you have like some gigabyte of data. But and I had friends who at the time I had a BlackBerry, so like very
Oh,
off like, type of phone. So my only communication was BlackBerry Messenger.
I see.
But then my friends would use like iPhone or like Android, so they have to use uh like text. And the phone bill would just go up because when you're still like young and energetic, you're like "Ta, ta, 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 ta."
Right.
So over time when I changed to when I got an iPhone, I was like, oh, I have Line, I have like iMessage, all these applications that I've never heard of because BlackBerry is very closed off. But
I
yeah,
see.
I've always been curious about the mail address because people will send each other mails, like emails. I always thought it was like text message, but apparently it's actually straight up mail, email,
I hope.
and just never really understood why. But yeah, you got your first phone in kindergarten, talking to your grandma.
And so, what sounded interesting hearing your story is that so going into elementary school,
Mm-hmm.
my school was also strict. We were not allowed to bring, of course, phone toys, but we also weren't. allowed to bring anything with characters on, as in like Hello Kitty, Cinnamoroll, just to avoid sort of competition among students, like who has better stuff or new stuff.
I see.
Very strict national school, and I was more of the type to always want to follow rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and well, yeah, students were even not allowed to uh have their parents send them to school or pick up because they're supposed to be individualistic and like independent enough to um go to school and come back on their own. But
Did you live far from school?
I did, and I needed to take few buses, but for most of my school life there, my mom always drove me. So I wasn't obviously following the rule, and I always had a small phone within my bag.
You don't check your bags?
They do. That's why, few times teachers found out, and I kind of got into trouble. Also, you know how kids next to you ask, "What's inside this bag?" And I couldn't lie because I was too honest maybe. But my mom is more like the type, you should have just lied or, made something up or and even taking that risk, my mom was really protective that she didn't allow me to not carry phone to school.
Hmm.
So it's really the opposite from your experience. My parents forcing me to take those devices.
I I was given a watch because I was like couldn't find a clock at my school. After I was playing after school,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't have a phone back then. So apparently I kept my dad waiting for pickup because
I see.
I was playing soccer, but the clock
Uh,
was unlike your clock at your house. It was on the wall. It was so far away,
I see.
and I was with a friend who had a watch, but I only it was my soccer ball. So if I had to go, then I need to take the ball.
Okay.
But they want to keep playing, so he didn't tell me the time.
I see.
So I got scolded, and then I got a watch like the next week. I was given like, here's a watch so you can tell the time. Because I told my dad couldn't. I was too far away from the clock, and I kept asking my friend, "What's the time? What's the time?" By the time he told me, it was already past the time for pickup. Yeah. So then I got the watch. Then eventually I got the phone
I see.
because um, not to flex, but the watch was a bit expensive. And once you reach like middle school or like closer to high school, you were allowed to carry your phones.
Uh-huh.
You just, you can't use them during class, which is completely fine. So once I was able to bring a phone. I got to see the clock without having to wear a watch. So that was quite nice. I used to have a flip phone. I still wanted a Japanese flip phone. There's so many ringtones that I wanted. That's my life goal. I still haven't gotten a Japanese flip phone yet.
Those nostalgia.
It's because they're waterproof.
Oh.
There's a line that's called, I think, Aquos by
Uh-huh.
Sharp.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those are waterproof. Before phones now are like our iPhones or our phones can be submerged to a depth of 1 meter up to 30 minutes. Japanese people have been dropping their phones in the bathtub for much longer. But where are we at? Do you have anything else to add? Or?
uh, no, I'm still not confident enough that I've answered these questions properly. But
Then let's end it this way. Do you have any tips on how to find confidence in being yourself in front of others?
just simply believe in yourself and don't be scared of judgment because I don't think they will be judging you. That's it.
Mm, I don't want to. I don't want to copy what she says, but I would say mine would be at the end of the day, you're gonna be the only one that cares about yourself,
Yeah.
and you're the only one that can add a bit of you into the conversation or bring something that's uniquely you to the table. And I say that because I'm also in the process of really embodying that, not just saying and believing it. But it helps when you meet the right people, and that can also convince you patiently that you bring a lot more than you think to the table. And yes, let's say I might go to someone else for something, but there's also some things that I can only go to you for because you're you. So I hope that whoever is listening to this can also learn to really celebrate you, celebrate yourself a little bit more, and understand that there's no one else like you. And I want to hope in a good way you take it. Don't take it in a bad way. But where can people find you?
So I have an Instagram account for my artworks. So just type in IORI dot ARTWORK, Iori dot artwork.
And if you would like to find where my works are, it's also on Instagram at Jasoto, which is JASSOETO. And if you would like to find our Instagram, where you can also find our Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, and TikTok links, it is also on Instagram at Quantum Perspectives. That is QUantumPerspectives. Thank you for listening to this episode of Quantum Perspectives. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we can't wait to hear you or talk to you again in the next one. Bye.
Bye!